Number 1. Fear, reward, and the death of resistance. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is the difference between being moved by the world and moving the world yourself. Power isn't granted, it isn't gifted, it's taken, crafted, sharpened like a blade held against the throat of life itself. Most people wander through existence begging for approval, terrified of rejection, desperate for comfort. But you, if you're here, you're done with that. Machiavelli understood a truth that society still fears to speak. Humans follow strength, not goodness. They obey certainty, not softness. Fear and reward, these are the twin engines that drive obedience. You want influence? Learn to master both. But here's the secret no one teaches. The most dangerous resistance comes not from others, but from the battlefield inside your own mind. That whisper telling you to stay the same. That trembling urge to remain liked, harmless, predictable. Kill that voice. Suffocate it. Break it until it no longer rises against you. Because resistance dies the moment you decide it has no right to speak. You think discipline is hard? No. Weakness is hard. Discipline is liberation. You think power is cruel? No. Power is clarity. You are becoming someone the world can't intimidate, can't manipulate, can't bend. Feel that coldness settling in? Good. That's the death of your old self, the one who apologized for existing. From now on, you move with intention. You speak with finality. You act without hesitation. People will feel the shift before they understand it. They'll sense the steel beneath your calm exterior, and they will treat you differently because you are different. Fear when necessary, reward when strategic, never equal, never predictable. Internal resistance is over. You're stepping into the version of yourself others can't touch. Remember that. And when you're ready for the next section, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Number 2, the anatomy of control. Now listen, because this is where most people get the entire game wrong. Control isn't about domination, shouting, or brute force. That's the behavior of amateurs, men who are loud because they are hollow. True control is subtle, quiet, precise. It is the ability to move the pieces without anyone seeing your hand. Machiavelli knew that people crave stability more than they crave truth. Give them the illusion of certainty, and they will hand you their trust, their obedience, even their loyalty. But before you learn to influence others, you must dissect yourself. Strip every weakness you've been taught to protect. Confidence built on fantasy collapses on contact with reality. What you need is confidence forged through brutal honesty. Identify your fears. Don't hide from them. Bring them into the light and watch how small they actually are. Fear is nothing more than an untrained imagination. Train it, harness it, make it serve you. Every fear you master becomes a lever you can use in the world. And reward, understand its weight. People respond more to the promise of gain than the threat of loss, but only when the reward feels scarce. Never make yourself endlessly available. Never give without intention. Scarcity breeds value. Predictability kills respect. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be acknowledged. Cold stoicism is your armor. Emotional discipline is your fortress. When you speak, speak with the gravity of someone who has already made the decision. When you walk into a room, move as if the ground itself shifts to accommodate you. You don't chase validation anymore. You create it in others. That is control. Not force, but gravity. And if you're ready to pull the world into your orbit, then stay with me. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications before we continue. Number 3, the engine of fear. Understand this. Fear is not your enemy. It is your greatest currency. Most people live inside a cage built from their own anxieties, rattling the bars and calling it fate. But you are done being one of them. You're learning what Machiavelli understood centuries ago. Fear is predictable, measurable, influenceable. People move faster to avoid pain than to chase pleasure, and anyone who grasps that becomes a strategist rather than a participant. But before you wield fear outward, you must conquer the one within. Your internal fears, failure, rejection, judgment, are not signs of weakness. They are indicators of where the next version of you must be born. Step toward the things that make your pulse rise. Chase the discomfort. Walk into the fire until the flames bend around you. That's how resistance dies. You don't run from fear. You stalk it, corner it, and consume it until you become something it can no longer touch. And here's the part the weak never grasp. When you are unafraid, people sense it instantly. It's in your silence, your eyes, your posture. You stop flinching. You stop explaining. You stop asking. Your presence becomes heavy, like a storm on the horizon. Not because you threaten anyone, but because you don't fear anything. And people instinctively respect that. Fear, when it no longer rules you, becomes a tool. You can apply pressure without raising your voice, steer outcomes without confrontation, and command respect without demand. You are not becoming ruthless. You are becoming real. Untouched by insecurity, unshaken by chaos, unmoved by approval. This is the engine of fear, mastering it so thoroughly that others feel it before you speak a word. If you're ready for the next evolution, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications before we continue. Number 4, the psychology of reward. Power isn't sustained by fear alone. Fear creates control, but reward creates allegiance. Understand this. People are driven by the hope of gain more fiercely than the dread of loss, but only when that gain feels rare, earned, and meaningful. If you reward too freely, your value dissolves. If you reward strategically, your influence multiplies. Machiavelli understood that a wise leader gives just enough to keep loyalty alive, yet never so much that he becomes common. You must operate the same way. Your attention, your approval, your time, these are currencies. Stop spending them like a beggar. Spend them like a king. Make others rise to your standards before they receive anything from you. When people must work for your reward, the reward becomes powerful. When people must chase your respect becomes priceless. But this principle doesn't just apply outward, it begins within. Reward yourself only when you've earned it, not for existing, not for trying, for achieving, for following through, for honoring your own word. This is how you build internal loyalty, by showing yourself that discipline yields results. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce a psychological foundation that cannot be shaken by opinion, by circumstance, or by failure. And once your inner reward system is intact, the external world bends to it. You won't crave validation, you'll attract it. You won't fear rejection, you'll filter it. You won't chase opportunities, you'll create them. People will sense your standards without you saying a thing. They'll adjust themselves automatically. That's the power of reward. When used with precision, it elevates you while aligning others to your gravity. This is how kings think. This is how conquerors move. If you're ready for the next step in this transformation, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications before we move forward. Number 5, the death of hesitation. Hesitation is the silent assassin of every man who could have become unstoppable. It kills potential before the world ever sees it. It whispers doubts, magnifies risks, and disguises weakness as caution. And the truth is simple. Hesitation is the purest form of self-betrayal. Machiavelli understood that decisive action is more respected than perfect planning. The world bows to those who move while others think. You must train yourself to act with a cold, deliberate certainty, even when uncertainty surrounds you. Every moment you hesitate, someone else claims what could have been yours. Every second you stall, you reinforce the identity of a man who waits instead of leads. No more. From this point forward, you kill hesitation the moment it appears. You do this by reducing decisions to their essence. Will this move me closer to power, or will it weaken me? If the answer is strength, you act. If the answer is weakness, you refuse. Stop entertaining the noise in between. People admire decisiveness because it's rare. They follow those who move first. They respect those who commit without flinching. And ironically, your mistakes become smaller when you act quickly, because hesitation magnifies even minor errors into catastrophes. You refine through motion. You sharpen through friction. You evolve through pressure. Hesitation dies when you stop negotiating with your fears and start listening to your principles. Your instincts aren't the enemy, they're untrained soldiers. Put them to work, give them orders. Trust the man you're becoming, not the boy you were. Step, strike, move. Let the world adjust to your pace. Let others drown in their uncertainty while you carve your path forward. This is how power accumulates, quietly, relentlessly, through action without apology. If you're ready for Section 6, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next step in your ascent. Number 6 was building an untouchable mind. If you want to become untouchable, you must first conquer the battlefield no one else can see, the territory inside your own skull. Most men are prisoners of their thoughts, chained by doubt, dragged by emotion, and ruled by impulses they never learned to command. But you're here to build a mind that cannot be infiltrated. Machiavelli taught that perception is power, and the strongest perception is the one you hold of yourself. The world attacks your mind long before it attacks your body. That's why you must fortify it. Start by silencing the internal noise, not by avoiding emotion, but by disciplining it. Allow yourself to feel, but never to obey. A man who reacts is controlled. A man who chooses is sovereign. Your thoughts are tools, useful only when sharpened, so sharpen them. Replace overthinking with evaluation. Replace worry with strategy. Replace self-pity with accountability. And understand this truth. No one can disrespect you more deeply than you disrespect yourself through weakness. Speak to yourself like a commander, not a victim. Dress your self-talk in authority. Every day you give your mind orders and your mind obeys. Tell it to focus and it will sharpen. Tell it to calm and it will harden. Tell it to rise and it will ascend. Building an untouchable mind is not about numbness. It's about sovereignty. You don't suppress emotion, you rule over it. You don't avoid chaos, you remain unshaken within it. You don't seek comfort, you build capacity. When your inner world becomes disciplined, the outer world loses its power to destabilize you. Insults shrink, problems simplify, manipulators retreat, opportunities gravitate toward you because your energy signals strength, clarity, and dominance. This is the foundation of becoming untouchable. If you're ready for Section 7, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications before we continue your ascent. Number 7, mastering the game of human nature. If you want real power, you must understand one brutal truth. People are predictable. Their desires, fears, insecurities, and impulses follow patterns older than civilization itself. Machiavelli didn't create manipulation. He simply exposed the blueprint. And if you learn that blueprint, you stop reacting to people and start reading them. Look closely. Every person you meet reveals themselves through 3 signals: what they fear, what they desire, and what they hide. Fear shows in hesitation, in the way their voice shifts, in how quickly they seek reassurance. Desire shows in what they chase, in what makes their eyes light up, in what they mention repeatedly without noticing. And what they hide, that's where their weakness lives. The more someone tries to conceal something, the more power that thing has over them. You are not here to exploit people blindly. You're here to navigate them with precision. When you know human nature, you stop being surprised by betrayal, flattery, jealousy, or loyalty. You see it all before it happens, and that awareness makes you untouchable. Here's the rule. Don't reveal your entire strategy. Don't advertise your emotions. Don't rush to fill silence. The one who speaks less holds the advantage. Your restraint becomes a weapon. Your calm becomes a mirror that forces others to expose themselves. Pay attention to what people ask, how quickly they ask it, what they compliment, what they criticize. These are psychological fingerprints. They tell you exactly who you're dealing with. Influence becomes effortless when you understand motivations deeper than people understand themselves. You lead them without force. You guide them without commands. That's dark psychology at its highest level. Strategic empathy without emotional vulnerability. When you master human nature, you stop playing the game and start writing it. If you're ready for Section 8, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications before we continue. Number 8, cold power, the art of emotional detachment. Understand this with absolute clarity. Emotional detachment is not cruelty. It is control. Most people drown in their feelings because they were never taught to separate emotion from action, impulse from strategy. But if you want to become untouchable, you must learn the Machiavellian art of staying calm when others collapse, staying measured when others explode, staying unreadable when others beg for reaction. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you don't feel. It means feelings don't dictate your movements. A man who can be provoked can be controlled. A man who takes things personally becomes a puppet to every insult, every disappointment, every flicker of disrespect. But a man who remains composed becomes something else entirely, unpredictable, intimidating, and dangerously free. Detachment gives you the distance required to analyze people without drowning in their chaos. It lets you walk away from manipulation before it touches you. It allows you to negotiate without desperation, love without losing yourself, and fight without losing your mind. And here's the paradox. The more detached you become, the more people cling to your presence. They sense your stability. They crave your calm. They're drawn to your emotional independence because it exposes their own instability. You hold the frame, not by force, but by unshakable self-governance. Detachment is not retreat, it's elevation. It means you don't chase apologies, you don't argue to prove your worth, you don't crumble when ignored, and you don't react to every spark like dry wood. You move slowly, speak intentionally, and decide with precision. Your silence becomes powerful. Your pauses become. Number 9, the strategic use of presence and absence. Power is not just what you say or do. It's also what you withhold, what you delay, and what you refuse to give. Presence creates impact, but absence creates gravity. Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology caught up. The rare is revered, the constant is ignored. If you want people to value your time, stop giving it freely. If you want your words to carry weight, stop speaking without purpose. If you want your presence to command attention, learn to disappear strategically. Most men flood the world with their availability. They answer instantly. They show up for everyone. They tolerate the draining, the chaotic, the pointless. And because they are always present, they are never respected. But you will move differently. You don't vanish out of fear or insecurity. You vanish with intention. You step back to observe. You pull away to regain leverage. You distance yourself so that when you return, your presence hits like a cold wind in a silent room. Absence creates anticipation. Anticipation creates value. This is psychological physics. Use it well. Introduce unpredictability into your rhythms, not chaos, calculated silence. Let people wonder where your focus is. Let them feel the gap you leave, because when others notice your absence, it means your presence has become significant. And when your presence is significant, your influence becomes effortless. But this rule applies inward too. Withdraw from distractions, from noise, from environments that drain your sharpness. Your absence from weakness strengthens your identity. Your presence and purpose amplifies your power. Move like someone who is not chasing the world but choosing it. Show up when it matters. Withdraw when it doesn't. That is how kings move. That is how you become unforgettable. If you're ready for the final section, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the conclusion of this transformation. Number 10, becoming untouchable, the final transformation. This is where everything converges. Fear mastered, reward controlled, hesitation destroyed, mind fortified, emotions disciplined, presence weaponized. You're not the same man who started this journey. You've shed the softness that kept you invisible, the uncertainty that kept you small, the excuses that kept you powerless. Machiavelli would tell you this plainly. Power belongs to those who accept reality as it is, not as they wish it to be. And the reality is simple. You are becoming someone the world cannot manipulate, intimidate, or ignore. The untouchable man isn't emotionless, but he is governed by logic. He isn't cruel, but he is unmoved by weakness. He isn't loud, but his silence carries more weight than most people's words. You now understand that people fear decisiveness because it exposes their indecision. They fear clarity because it highlights their confusion. They fear self-control because it reflects their lack of discipline. Do you see the pattern? The stronger you become, the more clearly you expose what others lack. And that is why the untouchable man is both respected and quietly feared. Your power will trigger envy in the insecure, loyalty in the worthy, and distance from those who can't rise with you. Let them drift. Let them watch. You're not here to pull anyone upward. You're here to ascend. And when you ascend, the world rearranges itself around you. Opportunities appear. Boundaries solidify. Standards elevate. Influence flows toward you naturally because you now radiate something rare. A man who cannot be broken from the outside because he refuses to be broken from the inside. This is your final truth. Power isn't something you chase. Power is something you become. And you right now are becoming it. If you want more content like this and you're ready for the next transformation, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.